let's take a look at how to do a box bottom on both a bag body and lining. I'm going to show you how to do it on the lining fabric. I think it's a little bit easier to manipulate on camera, but it is the exact same process on the body of a bag itself. So first of all, I have stitched this and I've left an opening just the way you would on the bottom of the lining for turning. And I've got my two corners done and I've left the top open. So to do that, I'm going to take the side seam and we're going to get that centered on here. And I'm going to measure not from the edge of the stitch seam. I want to measure from the needle line to make sure that it is centered actually. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit more. And in the pattern, it calls for measuring 2.5 inches up from the point. So first of all, I want to measure to see, I'm about 2.25 and about, let's say, 2 inches. So I need just a little bit more over on this side to move that over. So let's see what that looks like now. That's about 2.25, and from the edge about 2.25. So I think that's close enough. Now from the point, I'm going to measure up 2.5 inches. And I'm going to draw a line. I'm just using a friction pen. This is going to be the depth of the bag from front to back. And I'm making sure that my line is parallel to the seam too. I just want to make sure that everything is even. So now this is going to become the stitching line. So I'm going to go over to my serger and I'm going to stitch, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I've got my seam semi-centered. I don't think it's quite centered enough. And again, this is my side seam of the lining. Same thing for the bag. Let me just check. Okay, I think that's close enough. And we'll go 2.5 inches from the point and do the exact same thing. Now, you can either stitch this with your sewing machine and leave the points or trim them off by hand, but I think it's easiest just to serge right across, let the knife on your serger trim off the excess of these triangles. It's a little less bulk on the bottom of the bag, and it really doesn't make a huge difference, but it's kind of a nice thing to do. The machine is set up for a 4-thread overlock, and I am going to align the line that I drew with the left overlock needle mark because that's where the seam is going to form. So I'm going to get that right under the presser foot. My knife is going to cut off probably about 3/8 of an inch over from that. And I'll take that pin out now that I've got everything squared away. So let's take a look at this and see what it looks like once it's stitched. And as you can see, my thread doesn't match, but that's fine because it shows up very nicely on camera. So here is the first edge, and I can just take off that thread tail a little bit, shorten it up a little bit. And now I'm going to do the same exact thing on the opposite edge. And my box bottom is formed. I have them both stitched right here. So let's turn it right side out and take a look. It's really kind of a cool thing. It's easier than you might think it is than so if you haven't done this before. So let's get that. And you can see that by centering that side seam, this is my box corner. Here's the bottom of the bag. There's where I would turn it. But you can see how the bottom seam and the side seam of the bag align with each other. So that's kind of nice. Same thing on the other side. And then I would be ready to put this in the bag. And this is the exact same technique that you would do for the outer side, the bag itself. And then this would go just like this inside the bag, as I'm sure you've guessed, because you're going to be looking at the right side of your fabric inside the bag. But there you have a box bottom. Let me just show it to you for the way you'll see it inside the bag. There it is. Pretty nifty, isn't it?